What's up, Leafs fans? Welcome back to Leafs Digest. We are breaking down the Toronto Maple Leafs with a absolutely... It's not even that insane of a comeback. They were only down 2 goals, but you put up 5 unanswered to end off the third period. You win 7-4 in the game. You move to 27-10-3 on the season. And I mean, any way you spin it, no matter how you look at how these last few games have gone, 27-10-3 on the season is a pretty solid record at this point. You're looking at guys like Morgan Rielly matching season point totals from last year. And yes, I understand it was a shortened season, but keep in mind, last season they had to play 56 games to put up those points, and through 40 games so far this year, him and a guy like William Nylander has also matched a goal total from last year. Those guys have been flying this year, and we looked at those guys to be guys to step up and take steps forward this year, and they have absolutely done so. But, I mean, just overall impression of the game, it was sloppy. It was sloppy. I know sitting there watching the game, I was trying to think of what this title could be, what we were going to talk about in the post-game after this one, and had the Leafs lost, it was going to revolve around sloppy hockey. Yet they managed to turn it around through the unlikely hands of Pierre Engvall and Michael Bunting. And yes, I know Pierre Engvall only got himself 1 goal tonight, but Michael Bunting manages to grab 3. And Josh, I love baseball stats, the obscure baseball stats, when they're like, this guy is 28-0 on a Tuesday afternoon when they play at 3:30 and it's 21 degrees outside. And that was the stat that we got after the game today. If anybody knows, if you're from Canada, you know tonight was hockey night, or hometown hockey. Sorry, butchered that one. Should know. Hometown hockey. Michael Bunting becomes the first NHL player to score a hat trick on hometown hockey night, in which the hometown that was featured was his hometown. So, I mean, just the most ridiculous stat, but kind of cool for him to be able to do that on
That is a
hometown
baseball
hockey.
stat.
Yeah, kind of cool for him to be able to do that on hometown hockey for Scarborough, nonetheless. And he spoke before the game talking about Scarborough and stuff. But, I mean, immediate reactions here. Just first thing, I just mentioned him. He's a guy that you and I have been such big fans of this year. Michael Bunting getting a hat trick tonight. How good does that feel, just as a Leafs fan, to be able to watch him do that, knowing that we moved on from a guy like Zack and brought him in kind of as a replacement?
Scarborough, stand up. This man is like, he means business. This is awesome. He took the challenge personal all year. We gave him top 6 minutes, and he's delivered and delivered and delivered. And even when he was in the bottom 6 briefly, continued to play good. Michael Bunting, I'm convinced the stats speak for themselves. He's a good offensive player. I know it seems like he shouldn't be, he's so old to be a rookie. It doesn't make sense, but the reality is he's this dude. And I'm so happy to see it coming together. And then Pierre Engvall, I mean, like, me and you have both been high on him this year, but I feel especially so that I've been really like a spokesman for this guy because he doesn't do anything wrong. He has those nights where, he impresses a little bit.
For sure, yes.
This year, yeah, sorry. We're keeping it to the scope of this season.
Yes.
I've been very pleased with Pierre Engvall. And to see him get a big goal tonight and rip a bunch of shots on net, I was pleased with that. But, the main story was Michael Bunting and just how good he's been. And filling those Zach Hyman shoes is not an easy task, but he's done it remarkably well. And, I'm just going to get to this question right now because I was wondering, as I'm seeing him score all these goals tonight, if he went into free agency tomorrow, how much does he command on the open market? What does that AAV look like? Like, I'm curious, like already, like the numbers speak for themselves. He's never been a bad NHL player. Every time he's out there, he's close to point per game. Do you think he could get like 5 million AAV out of contract right now from a team?
Dude, I did not expect to be hit with that question.
I came out guns blazing, man.
Okay. Wow, what a question.
I'm gonna say 4.5 is the best he could get on the open market right now.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing though. Okay, I don't think he's a $5 million player. I really don't. I think maybe he could prove himself. I don't think I'd give it to him based on this year. That being said, July 1, there are teams that are horny enough to do it.
Definitely.
There are. And if Michael Bunting went to the market after this season, having done what he did this year, man, especially if he's a guy who's playing top line minutes with Matthews and he puts up, I think he's going to put up more points than Hyman did playing with them. He's able to do that. He's more of a spark plug. Like, he's a guy who can really get some things going, and he's got a lot more skill, a lot more goal scoring touch. I think there would be a team out there that would get a little too excited to reach in their pants and pull out some money and throw it on the table for him. Um, I think you're probably closer with the range of 4.5. I'd slide down to 3.5. Maybe that's on the a little bit aggressive side. I don't know. Maybe I think like I honestly think 3.5 would kind of be his cap for it, but I don't know. It's just he's been playing very very well this year. And okay, you know what's a weird thing is he scores the hat trick tonight, and immediately in my mind I'm like, this got to be his first career hat trick. Nope. He scored one last year. This guy had 10 goals last year, and he had a hat trick against the LA Kings.
Man, I had no clue that this was not his first career hat trick.
Yeah, I know.
Oh
Same.
my God.
Yeah, and the
That's
goals that he
wild. Okay,
scored
this guy's
too.
so good.
Yeah, and the goals he scored were goal scoring goals. They weren't fluke, hit your butt and go in goals, or you're standing in front and it kind of just bounces off your stick. I mean, the third goal that he put in was a beautiful pass by Marner across to him, and he bangs it in. That being said, he has to have the skill, the ability, the strength on his stick to be able to be in the right place, the right time, and put that one in and put it into the back of the net. And then the first two goals that he scored, the first one is a high slot tip. It's a shot from Justin Holl, and we'll get to him a little bit later. But Justin Holl fires it from the blue line. Bunting reaches across his body and tips it with the back or the bottom of his stick, down. First goal for him, and then of the night. And then the second one, Matthews takes a shot kind of from the point. It deflects around a little bit, bounces up in the air, and he spins around, not what like back to the puck, and knocks the puck out of the air, mid-air, into the net off the rebound. The guy was just, man, it was his night. Some nights it's your night, and tonight was his night.
Man, I'm just so happy to see it. Like the Leafs have had some signings blow up in their face. And speaking of one, Peter Mrazek is looking like, a top three ugliest contract on our team right now. And we've got some ugly contracts.
Yeah.
Tonight's a little bit of a testament to that. But to see, it's funny with this Leafs team, right? You're lucky to have a lot of guys who have overachieved on smaller contracts because you do have an issue with a front loaded like cap space on your roster. Like it's very clear that there's some players getting paid a disproportionate amount of money compared to what they're doing on the ice. But thank God, just thank God there's guys like Pierre Engvall, like Michael Bunting, like Andre Kasha. Like they are the lifeline of this team. It's why it's working. It's the glue of this system right now. So I'm just thrilled about it. Tonight's awesome. But to segue a little bit to Peter Mrazek, not the best night. We were talking a little bit before we got on here, Philly, and you're giving the references to some of those Freddie Anderson goals that we started to see towards the end of his tenure as a Leaf that were just so soft.
Yeah. You know what it was? I think that it's not entirely that it was the soft goal. Like it kind of was, but a lot of what it is it's timed with a poor timed goal against. So it's the situation where you just score a goal, you're within one, and now Detroit comes down the other way, and the guy, Nemesnikov, grabs the puck from the side of the net, goes to pull it across. Mrazek basically spreads his legs way too far, and Nemesnikov is putting it in essentially an empty net at that point. He's looking at Mrazek's 5-hole going, oh my God, I can't believe there's this much space here. I mean, you look at the Bertuzzi goal that he scored, and it's just like, okay, yeah, it was a beautiful shot. He picked the top corner, but it's a 1v1 against the goalie, and you're burning him over the shoulder 55 seconds after Detroit just took the lead a minute 15 into the second period. You come out really, really strong in the second period, excuse me. You come out really, really strong, and now you're down one. And then 55 seconds later, you're down two, and you're going, okay, wait a minute here. Yeah, we probably let off the gas a little bit here, or we haven't played the best hockey since that first minute, and then 15 seconds later, after the good hockey, goals in the net. But you're going, okay, can we get a stop, please? Because we were playing well. Leafs had some momentum there at the start of the second, and then it's just downhill. We're fighting an uphill battle from that point on, down two.
Man, you bring up a great point with Freddie Anderson, and I even said this in the offseason, like Freddie Anderson's going to go somewhere and be a top goaltender. He's so skilled. He's huge, like checks all the boxes, but the backbreaking part of what he was doing at the end of his Leafs tenure is untimely goals. When
Yeah.
you need to bounce back, he lets in, even say a decent one, one that you can live with a goalie letting in, but then you got to stand on your head or help your team get back some momentum. And that's in those couple following minutes after to make sure you don't fall too far behind or just take all the air out of the tires. That is a really relevant observation of what we saw from Peter Mrazek tonight.
And I do have to give him some kudos because in the third period he did play well. He didn't by any means stand on his head, but he did play well and he made some stops in the third. And that was when it was most important. You're down 2 goals, you got to keep the boys in it. Now you're down one. Now it's tie game. Like this is when it gets really crunch time. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's the old like Grant Fuhr saying where he's letting in 4 goals a night, but he let in one less than the other guy, or he let in less
Yeah.
goals than the other guy, and that's what he did tonight. And it was kind of
I
interesting too, the tandem of Nedeljkovic and Mrazek going at it. They were goalie partners last year in Carolina.
Yeah, well, and obviously facing an ex team from Mrazek, like I understand it, like I do, but it's just I feel like there's a low trust level there, which is unfortunate considering how much you paid him and what you wanted him to be. Like
Yeah,
he is still a decent backup, but there's no trust. There's no
yeah.
trust. I mean,
And you're
Jack
looking at a
Campbell is a
guy who's
backup.
almost 4 mil, right? Like it's heavy.
Yeah, no, seriously, but you give him his props and he does deserve it. We got to win. We scored more than the other team, so chalk it up. Who cares? But just in the greater scope of things, to see a little bit more reliability from
Mhm.
Peter Mrazek, I mean, I know everyone in Leafs Nation agrees that that's something that would be great to see coming up before playoffs.
100%. And then one thing so let's actually get into our awesome Matthews play of the day here. I'll start this one off. So my awesome Matthews play of the day, I'm going to have to give this one to Bunting's third goal of the night. And it's not just the Bunting goal, it's going to be the combo of it. Mitch Marner does an incredible job of protecting the puck, fighting his way through traffic. He goes all the way past Nedeljkovic to the far side of the ice, right hand, kind of holding it past, and he rips it around his body, finds Michael Bunting on the doorstep of Nedeljkovic and just bangs home the empty netter. It's just a beautiful play all around because Marner being able to protect the puck, fight his way through traffic. He's kind of stick handling through the phone booth a little bit there. Finds his way to the other side, some empty ice. Nedeljkovic follows him all the way across, and then he just makes that nifty little pass right back door to Bunting, and he grabs that hat trick, which, as I mentioned, gets the little baseball stat, first player to get the hat trick on Hometown Hockey, where his hometown was featured. So shout out Michael Bunting, a huge night for him. He moves to 12 goals on the season as well. I think he's fifth or sixth in rookie scoring now. So I even texted one of my buddies during the game once Bunting scored the second, and I said Bunting for Calder question mark, and then he scores the third, and I just said you got to be kidding me, because at that point I'm like, this is ridiculous what this guy's doing. But that is my awesome Matthews play of the day.
Man, Scarborough stand up. I'll say it again. That's awesome. I'm so happy for him. So happy for the city too to have a guy. All of the circumstances surrounding Michael Bunting are positive for this team. So that's exciting stuff. But I got to go a little bit of a different direction here with my awesome Matthews play of the game. And I got to give it to a conjoined effort as well. John Tavares grinding in the corner, doing the dirty work. I mean, he's a high profile name in the league, but he does it ugly, and that's what he's great at. Going to the corner, fighting for the puck, and then feeding Sandin out front, who gets his first one in a long time.
Two
I mean, that
years
goal
and two
felt good
days
for
specifically.
a lot of different reasons. Sandin getting on the board, and then Johnny T just, I think the idea of Johnny T and what some people wanted it to be and how much he gets paid, right? He can kind of cloud the vision of what he does on the ice. But I mean, just so gritty, so grindy, so smart. And that was a great demonstration of the skills he brings to the table. I got to give it to that.
100%. I don't think you can go wrong with that one. And then the other thing too that I note about that is that Sandin, this guy is just showing himself to be a guy that can be trusted more and more. Of course, he's going to have the mental lapses on defense here and there. He's a young guy. It's going to be expected. The other guys that I'd look at and say, well, okay, you want to get a little rowdy on Sandin while everyone's turned the corner on Morgan Riley since he signed that contract and since he's been putting up all these points. Well, guess what he does night in, night out? He has some big mental defensive lapses. It happens. If you're going to have a guy who's going to be so talented with the puck, he's going to be so good at skating, he's going to be so good at all that, it happens. Some of it's going to get exposed, especially considering we watch 82 games of the season. You're watching every single play these guys are making. You're going to make note of them having a mistake, making something like that, a little doy play where you go, what the hell was that? It's going to happen here and there. But I mean, for him to be able to do that, it was very deserving, especially because he's a guy who has been all over the offensive end. He's been a guy who's able to create and contribute to the offense, and for him to be able to actually put one in the back of the net and have it be the game-winning goal, just kind of an unreal moment for him. Especially, it's probably got to feel like the weight of the world is off his shoulders. 2 years and 2 days since he scored an NHL goal. Shout out Rasmus Sandin for that one.
Man, big time. And we talked about it a little bit before we went on air. And I don't mean this in any kind of I don't understand. I don't undersell his skill set whatsoever. Like he's huge for us. But, for a puck moving offensive defenseman, to think he hasn't scored in that long, we still think very
Yeah, I
highly of
know.
him. And I say that as a praise opposed to a criticism.
Yep.
He can go that long without scoring a goal, and we still think that way about his puck handling ability and offensive game. I mean, it's a testament to the eye test, really,
Yeah.
because the stats don't quite back it yet. But this guy's going to be, a bona fide, probably a top three defenseman in his prime. Even now you could maybe argue he is, but Sandin's definitely coming along nicely, and I'm happy to see him get the validation of a goal because it has been a while. And as I said, Johnny T, man, doing all the greasy work. I love that.
Okay, so before we kind of get into, I got this mapped out here. We're going to get into some of the gritty stuff about tonight, some of the things that didn't go so well, and then we'll get into our grades of the game before we wrap it up. But one thing I do want to say, and I want to shout out, make sure we make a note of it, Pierre Engvall, this guy had himself an absolute night. We talked about a little bit off the top of the show here, but I mean, for him to be able to go out there, 5 shots on goal, he was a very, very strong contributor on the ice. He created a lot of chances tonight, and to be completely honest, he was one of the best Leafs on the ice tonight. If not, the second best to Bunting. Like, he genuinely was a guy that Keefe put a lot of trust in tonight, gave a lot of respect to, and gave him some more minutes, some more opportunities. I noticed a bunch of times him putting the fourth line out after a goal against or after a goal for, because he trusted that fourth line to go out there and do it. And a lot of that was driven by Pierre Engvall tonight. He was creating chances. He was using his speed. He was using his size. He was winning puck battles. He had himself a great night. There's not too much to say about it. I mean, his goal was actually just so silly. He's driving the net. Morgan Riley fires a backhand saucer pass, knee high, mind you, to the slot, hits Engvall in the pants, deflects down, and then hits the top of Nedeljkovic's pad into the top corner of the net. Just a dumb, dumb goal in general. But hey, you got to go to the net, and at the end of the day, they don't ask how, they just ask how many. And for you to be able to put in a goal, you drive to the net, you're going to the right places. He had himself a good night, and it's good to see him be able to get on the board and have some payoff for it.
Man, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I was loaded up to say that, but yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm especially when he's a fourth line player. I'm definitely not asking how a goal happened. I'm going to
Yeah.
take it, and I'm also going to look at his other, as you mentioned there, his supporting play tonight. Of he got a bunch of shots on net. He looked great. Was using his size. I mean, I referenced the eye test a moment ago for Sandin, but the eye test on this year on Pierre Engvall has been insane as well. I mean, it's been crazy. I got to say, this year specifically, he's just been one of our best players when you consider it in contrast to his contract, or comparison, I should say. But definitely a great night for him.
All right, so let's get into a little bit of the nitty gritty. Some of the guys who didn't have the greatest nights tonight. I'm going to start off with TJ Brodie. Now, this isn't a guy to have much concern about. It's just overall, it was a tougher night for him. I believe he was on the ice for the first 3 Detroit goals that they scored. The first one was the Dylan Larkin breakaway pretty early on into the first period, and it was more of just a miscommunication between him and Matthews. Matthews is back checking. Brodie doesn't indicate which guy Matthews should take, which guy he's going to take. Matthews kind of lets off, goes to take the other guy that Brodie was on. Brodie and him kind of mismatch, and then Larkin burns him and gets by. There was a few times where he was just coughing some pucks up, making some bad plays in the offensive zone. I don't think it's anything to be concerned about, but it was a thing that I wanted to point out. Now, the other guy who I think didn't have himself the greatest night, Austin Matthews. I mean, I said in the betting preview that I thought he was going to have a big, big night. I bet on him for over 4.5 shots on goal. I was pretty high on that. I thought it was going to happen. He's been playing really well lately, and I thought against a team like Detroit, he would step it up and he would kind of take it to them. It didn't quite happen. He does get 2 assists, but it just overall in terms of his play, it wasn't quite there. He had a couple times where he was just overpassing the puck, as was the rest of the team. But the final guy that I actually do want to talk about here, and I am really interested on your perspective on him and kind of what to do moving forward, is going to be Justin Holl. And I'm going to throw the Justin Holl pylon animation up here on the screen because this guy continues to deserve it every single night, and he is doing some of the dumbest things that I've seen pro hockey players do. And he's not as bad as Marincin for me. I'm going to say that straight up because Marincin was the guy that I just... Like, he actually made me ill watching him go on the ice. Like, I actually couldn't believe it every time he went out there. But it's getting to the point, man, where I'm just genuinely like, we can't dress this guy. Like, to me, he's so bad. And I know there's people that are defending him in the comments every time we talk about him. I just do not see it. It's to the point of frustration where I'm like, I don't get what you're looking at. I don't get it. He's fallen over. He doesn't win battles. He misses guys in front of the net. He loses his man in the defensive zone. He turns the puck over all the time. Sure, he gets an assist on the Bunting goal, but damn, man, he's not getting anything. Has Bunting not tipped that puck? It's going to fly 5 feet over the net if he's not where he is and he tips it. Like, it's just stupid things. And I'm watching him going, I don't get it. What is anybody seeing? What are the people in the comments seeing? I'm just getting fed up with Justin Holl. I don't know where you're at on it.
Just go find a random right-handed defenseman in the AHL. There you go.
That's
Done.
honestly where I'm at too, man.
Honestly, if you can find a top three, like not in the league, but like on a team, like a top three defenseman who's right-handed, go give him Justin Holl's spot. At worst, he's just as bad.
Yeah.
At best, like it just there's no lower bar for Justin Holl right now. And I get it. Like he has his moments where it's like, oh, I guess he's like kind of composed, right? Like, you know, he took away the puck. Like, of course he's going to make the occasional play. And when you put him with a good defenseman like Jake Muzzin sometimes, I know Jake Muzzin's had his issues this year too, but it's because he's trying to carry Justin Holl this whole year. And I say that with a little bit of regret. Like Muzzin really has had his issues, but the main takeaway here is Holl is really pulling down this team. He's pulled down this team for a long time. I know he had moments where it's like, okay, he's steady, right? He played steady in a couple big games that everyone's watching and remembering. There's just a bias here. He's not good. Find any right-handed defenseman in the AHL that's somewhat decent. He will do the same job, if not a little bit better. At this point, we need to get rid of him. We need to get rid of him. The fans are going crazy. It's honestly, Phil, it's getting too much.
It is getting too much, man. I don't get it watching him on the ice. I just don't get it at this point. I don't get it. Why is he? Why? I don't understand. And I got to give credits to you, though, because you were the first person to say it. In the summer, I defended it, and I was like, hey, you don't know where you can find a guy like that where he's going to be that consistent. You know what he's getting. And now it's just he's consistently bad.
I just trusted that. It seems like, at least on this team, I don't know if this is an NHL observation in general, but young defensemen that come up onto a really good team, I feel like tend to look good right away because they come into a team that's winning. They don't have a whole lot of responsibility. You know, they can kind of blend in during winning efforts, and all of a sudden everyone considers them responsible. That happened with Travis Dermott, and then we watched him for a long time, and they're like, and then that also happened now with Justin Holl, and then we're looking at him now like, and then even, I'm definitely not going to bring Sandin into this. But, there was a moment when we brought up Sandin for a while, and we're like, oh, could this guy be like a top 5 defenseman in the league one day? No, it's not likely to happen. But you get where I'm going with this, that when young defensemen especially come into the lineup on a winning NHL team, I feel like for that first like 6 months of being there, they tend to look good because they're part of winning efforts and get like kind of, brought up the right way. But then when you have to sustain them for a long time and you really break down their game, it's like, okay, you know what? If this was like a rebuilding team, you'd be buried in the AHL. And I don't mean that about any other player than Justin Holl.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. It's just like time where it's like, every time you're on the ice, man, it's getting tiring to watch you. It's getting tiring to see what you're having to do out there. You're a liability. You're causing problems all over the ice. So it's just enough of him for me. I don't know. I'm just done with Justin Holl, watching him out there. But all right, Goody, we're getting pretty late into this one. Let's wrap it up with our grades of the game. All right, so you have not yet seen me do this. You were doing the Raptors live stream for the last game when I debuted my new method of doing the grades of the game. I have an Excel spreadsheet to calculate my grades of the game, okay?
Okay.
So it's mathematically determined.
Wow, this is you are on the baseball vibes today, eh?
Yeah.
With the analytics going and everything.
I'm full Kyle Dubas analytics community. Actually, you know what, Goody?
Seriously. Oh, toss him on.
All right, for my grades of the game. So, because I don't know if other people missed the last breakdown, but I'll give it for this one. All right, so each category here is just broken down into a score out of 5. And then it's added all up and divided by the amount of categories, which gives you the ultimate grade, determining such. Okay? So, team offense for tonight, giving it a 5 out of 5. You score 7 goals. It's kind of hard to not give a team 5 out of 5, to be completely honest with you. 7 goals. I don't know how to dispute that.
Hat-trick for Bunting, 5 out of 5.
Hat-trick for Bunting. Pierre Engvall, just snipe. And then 5 out of 5. Team defense. I struggled with this one. I actually wrote the grade in, changed the grade, wrote it in, changed the grade. I'm going with a 3. You let up 4. I would say the first one, maybe the fourth one, were player related, but I would say two of the other ones were kind of just all on Mrazek. So I would have to give those ones, I would have to say, like, all right, we're at a 3 there. Goaltending for me tonight, 2 out of 5. I was not impressed with Mrazek, what he did. I think there was soft goals, poorly timed goals, as I had mentioned. Power play, 4 out of 5. You go 1 for 2. The first power play, you don't score a goal, but they did look decent. They struggled a little bit breaking into the zone, but otherwise, fine. Penalty kill, 3 out of 5 for me. You let it, they had one power play and you let them score on it. But it was one of those ones where you're not going, okay, man, that power play or that penalty kill was terrible. The penalty kill's been pretty good all year, so I just stuck with the 3 out of 5. It was one of those weird ones where I'm like, I can't give a 0 because they didn't play terribly. They gave up the goal on the only penalty kill they had, but I don't know. I just kind of
It would screw up the equation.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, 3. So ultimately, my final grade of the game, C plus. Because I understand the final score being a 7-4, and I understand we came back and scored 5 unanswered. That's amazing. But for the first 50 minutes of tonight's hockey game, it was sloppy. It was very sloppy. We were down to Detroit. We were letting in bad goals. We were playing below average, if not average, team defense, hence the 3 out of the 5. And it was just struggling a little bit. There was guys making bad mistakes. We were overpassing the puck. Some of the lines were having some trouble, like just getting things going out there. So I don't know. Overall, I think that grade is actually pretty suiting. I'm gonna go with the C plus on this one.
And the equation's a harsh critic, man. I don't know. I got to give it a little bit more. All the criticisms are definitely accurate, but I got to juice it up to a B. And as much as it's like a bummer that we fell behind on the score, I think it's just as impressive that we rallied back, especially when the play was sloppy, right? It's not like we were rolling out of the gates and just some couple tough bounces put us back. Like, nah, this was something that we needed to like fully in game adjust and 180 on. So I got to say, on the fly, great job. But, it's not getting past the B for me because there was a lot of sloppy plays that kind of put you behind the 8 ball, even though you came through. Peter Mrazek scares me so much. We gave the guy so much money. I don't think he's,
we got 2 more years of him, man.
B minus. But no, we're staying at a B. We're staying at a B. But it's we won the game. Props to him. He did have a decent third, all of that. But I think just the Bunting hat trick. My guy Pierre Engvall. My God, I'm so happy for him. I gotta stand on the B here because it was pretty ugly, but there was just way too many things to be happy about tonight to leave it in the C category for me.
Fair enough. I can respect that. Well, Leafs fans, there we go. That's our breakdown. The Leafs beat the Detroit Red Wings 7-4. We scored 5 unanswered in the third period to come back from down 4-2. We moved to 27-10-3 on the season. Peter Mrazek makes 31 saves, but he still manages to have an .886 save percentage. He lets in 4 goals, a couple of weak ones. Not the greatest night for him. Pierre Engvall gets on the board, looks like one of the best players on the ice tonight. Michael Bunting, a hat trick, second of his NHL career, and he's the first NHL player to score a hat trick on hometown hockey night featuring his own hometown. So shout out Michael Bunting for that one. Pretty cool moment for him, I would imagine, and some great goals scored by him as well. Mitch Marner continues to score. He scores not only a goal tonight in tonight's game, but it also happens to be a power play goal, no matter how fluky in terms of Detroit had an empty net because they were trying to get one there. And with the goalie pulled with 2 minutes left in the game on the penalty kill, but still power play point, power play goal, and anytime goal scorer. So shout out Mitch Marner for that one. But Leafs win this one 7-4. Leafs fans, we will see you guys after the next game. Keep believing.
Signing off.